Welcome back, everybody, to Ultimate CNFT. Today, I am here with Jake from the project called Jetplane. Jake, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm super happy to have you on. Now, we've been talking a couple times over the last couple days, and I'm very interested to share with my audience here everything that you've got planned for your project. That you're doing some unique things, and I feel in this particular case, it's really great for the founder himself to come on and tell us all about what you guys have planned, what you're building, your journey with the beginning of the project to up to the point where you're about to mint here. On the 25th of this month. So just, about a week out from the production of this video. Tell us about your story and your project.
Yeah, so we're heading into mint. We're basically 6 days out now from the time of this interview. So it's getting very busy, very hectic, but the signs are looking really good. So we've got an engaged community happening. It's good. The whitelist is all wrapping up. So everything's falling into place. Been an absolute grind. And I won't just say this mint, but we've been around since May. Back where the market was very cold and it was quite a difficult time to launch, and a few projects completely fell over and ran off and you never saw them again. Whereas for Wolfie, my co-founder, and I, we just decided, like, let's stick around, let's build. We managed to sell 222 of our collection, which is now our OG collection, before we closed off mint. But we started to really refine what we were doing. We noticed at the time that it was actually, even Wolfie, who's my co-founder, he's a developer, 25 years commercial experience. He's trained in Cardano blockchain, but even he was struggling to just find the right code to get the minting done and just to make it suit what we were doing, because we weren't going to go down the consultancy route. We wanted to do it for ourselves, and he figured it out, and we actually had a really seamless and smooth mint, which was great. So when we did that, we kind of went back to the drawing board. At the time, we were building a community of Web3 entrepreneurs, a space where people could talk, share ideas, help each other launch. Whereas we thought, well, we're actually builders, so why don't we actually build something of value to the Cardano community that new projects coming through can access and launch and use, like, even if you're not a technical developer or you don't have all the marketing tools to do that. So we started to really, because that was the problem we were finding, and that's what our community was saying. We'd have a marketing person come and go, hey, how can you help us with the marketing? Or we'd have a person come and go, can you help us with the technical side? So we thought, like, how can we bundle all this? How can we bundle this into a platform that they don't actually need our help, that it's self-service, on demand, and that they can access when they want to mint and they want to build trust with their community? So we identified 3 key problems. One is very hard to get exposure in the space. 2, it's very difficult to build an engaged community, like build trust. And the third problem was that it's actually difficult to mint without the technical expertise. So we started to wireframe a product that could really serve this. And basically what we've come up with is, well, we've got 4 core products that we'll be launching, and all of them are interconnected with each other. So the first one is our, having a bit of a brain fade. So it's called Assemble. So basically, once you've gone to your designer and you've got all your NFT traits, you could have 100, you could have 1,000. You need to be able to have an engine that can compile this and have control over it, and in terms of rarity, just making sure everything's aligned. And so that's Assemble. It's your tool when you've got all your traits, you feed it in, and you've just got full control on what traits you want to be more rare, what ones you want in, what ones you want out. And that can be up to, a 10,000 piece collection, however you want to do it. So the thing to note about Assemble is that the back end's actually developed already. So Wolfie's done that for our collection, and that's already done. It's just the front end that needs to be developed now. So we're almost there with that. And so what that connects into is Launch, which is our second product, which is basically your on-demand minting platform. So whether you want to be able to embed it on your own website, you can send all those design traits once they're complete straight into your minting engine, or you can launch it through what we call our third platform, which is Promote. At the moment, we've been running a proof of concept site, which is called nftrack.io. So it kind of looks like a listing site at the moment, but we've been testing being able to mint off that platform, as well as adding features like so we're integrating with Bear Market and BIG in terms of seeing which projects are docs and giving an analysis on those projects as they come through. So if you want more exposure for your project, you basically put those NFT design traits straight into that listing, and you can mint directly off that listing from our website. So it's a great way to get hype around it, promote it, and we've already built some Discord bots that other projects can integrate into their servers. You can vote on those projects, and that upvotes your project as well. So we're actually adding in lots of other steps with that as well to build authority within our promote platform. We've still got to come up with a name. NFTrack has been the proof of concept. We call it promote, which isn't quite a very sexy name at all. So we are still doing the branding side of things, but basically it's all the things that builds trust, right? Docs builds trust. So you get some votes, like you get upranked for that. Being endorsed by other projects, if I could see that because we've collabed with so many well-known established projects through this mint, if I could ask them to endorse us, just to endorse us, so that's on a platform that's visible, that people could go, oh geez, a big platform is really promoting these guys. I didn't know that. So that plays into it. Being able to mint a portion of your whitelist or even a portion of your mint through our platform. This is the kind of flexibility that we're going to be offering, as well as being able to have control on how many, like if it's 5 NFTs you want to mint, or if that's the max allowance, whatever it might be. So that's the third product. And sorry, I'm going on a bit here, but the fourth one.
Yeah, no, please. This is great. I've never really heard, this is very technical.
It is
a technical platform. Delivering these kinds of things to people who are understanding how we're progressing as a space and all the things that can progress along with us. Like, to me, someone like me who's not a very technically inclined person and doesn't know a lot of the back end of these super technical things, this is fascinating, which is exactly why I wanted to have you on our show here, so you could tell your story in your words, how you guys are developing this platform. So please carry on.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And so it's around self-service again, right? So if I think of like JPEG Store and those other ones who have got their own launch pads, where it's kind of, you need to be accepted into the platform. You got to go through an application process, and they kind of handpick who they want to come in. They're doing a great job, don't get me wrong. We're not going in competition with them at all, but it's more accessible to everyone. And then that's where that point system comes in, and it's on you to build your own credibility. We build the bots for that for other projects to like get it part of it and join in terms of helping other projects and their community votes in it and all that. Now the final part is really for the traders out there, which is our analysis platform, which they all integrate together into one juicy big platform. But so the analysis side of things is that the other problem that we've just been doing this for fun, because I guess it's hard to understand the true value of NFTs when you buy them based on floor price. You just see the floor price and you go, oh, that's the lowest one, I'll buy that. That's the value of the project. Where it's not a fair representation of the value of that NFT when other things come into consideration, like rarity, the utility, and then other things like the collection size of the project and all those kind of things. And what we've done is, what Wolfie's done, I won't take credit for it, but he's come up with some machine learning models. He's generated some formulas to actually more accurately calculate this, to give sophisticated buyers a bit of intel as to the fair value of what they should be paying. So we've put this already out as a proof of concept. It's actually almost there. These things take time in terms of the model needs to learn, it needs to get smarter. We put it out probably a bit too early, and the values were quite skewed, but now it's actually getting quite accurate, which is really awesome. So with that'll give our holders, depending what level of holder you are, it'll be delivering the best deals. If it's like the best secondary sales deals on the market, we'll be delivering that to our top tier holders, and they'll be notified as soon as it comes on so they can snap it up. And then it's like you're in the middle going, oh, this is a big project. These are pretty good deals, but it's not the top 3 or 4 of the day. So we'll deliver that to our next tier holders. And then the best value ones, which is just all the calculations, the models that we've got out minus the top 2 tiers, which will be out for the public to be able to access and to make more informed decisions on what they buy.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's more than a mouthful. I mean, so the development of everything you're pushing through, what I'm gathering, what I'm hearing, number one is you're building something that is encompassing of the CNFT space as a whole. You're offering, all kinds of I wouldn't really call them bots, but programs really, because they're bots. Sure, they're reading information, but you're offering a program to further people's understanding and opportunities in the CNFT space. Now, obviously, that's just one of the things that you're doing. Can you tell me about the collection size and your mint price and how these NFTs come into play with all these things you're offering? You said there's different levels. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so ultimately we're builders, and that's what we sort of pride ourselves on, as being that utility project, and we do want that reputation of being a pretty hardworking team in the space. But we are aware that we have that community side that we really want to build up, and we can offer something truly unique there as well. So at the moment, our 222 OG collections out there on JPEG, I think the floor's around 450 at the moment, which is really good heading into mint.
That's good.
So our supply heading into this mint is 1776. So it is relatively small compared to other supplies. Why that is because we actually don't feel that we need to sell out 4,000 piece collection. We think we've got a fair value of 115 ADA, 115 ADA for our whitelist, 125 for a public sale, for a public mint. But we know that that'll give us the runway to be able to finish developing the tools that we've already got in development and come back and have something to show to holders before we make any next steps. But it's important for us that we build something, show something that not just our holders want to use, but the entire Cardano CNFT space. So that will also create a business model for us, and it will actually be able to help us bring that back into the community and to our holders as well before considering what we do with our next mint. So some things to look out for in terms of the actual NFTs themselves. The theme is Jetplane, their offices, and some unique traits and characteristics to look out for is that on the arm of every NFT, it has a rank, which you can see in our Discord server, starting at officer cadet through to flight lieutenant, right up to squadron leader, and wing commander is the one that you want to snap up on mint day. There's less of those, and we've got a point system. So there's 5 ranks. If you get 10 points, you get airdropped a senior officer boarding pass, which has got a really cool animation that will sit in your wallet, and that's your access to all the tools and the top tier benefits. So that senior officer boarding pass, you need 10 points, which in essence could be 1 wing commander, which is the highest rank, or it could be 10 officer cadets, which is the lower rank that you get. Or you need 3 points to get an officer boarding pass, which is the next tier of benefits. So that could just be 3 officer cadets, and then that'll give you access to those top 2 tier benefits of Jetplane. So that's really cool. And then we've got our squadron. So I don't want to confuse things too much, and that's why we're not releasing that until after mint. But basically, we've released some sneak peeks. So once you've got your officer, you can choose what squadron you want to belong to. There's 4 in total. 1 especially reserved for OGs, which is our Alpha Squadron. So you can only join that squadron if you're an OG. And then we've got Empire, Joker, and Badger Squadron. But I won't confuse things. But ultimately, what that means is that you'll be part of an exclusive channels within our community. For depending what squadron you're in, you'll get a little badge on your NFT, which we'll put on there. If you would like that on there, and that shows which squadron you belong to. But ultimately, it's playing into our play to earn scheme. So Wolfie's a bit of a gamer, and he's already come up with been building a game. And not to go into it too much, because I think it can lose focus of the utility side, but the play to earn side of it is basically going to be a weekly dogfight that we put out with officers battling it out. And won't tease too much about what our next mint could be that plays into that as well. So that's how we're going to be really building up the community engagement, keeping the community active while we're building in the background as well for the utility side of things.
Wow, that's actually that's a pretty broad spectrum approach, for just one project itself, gaming, all of these things that you're introducing that are obviously, looking at floor prices and going back real quick to what you were saying earlier. Some people they come in and they look at a project, they see a floor price and they immediately assume that that's the bottom end value of that project. There's a lot of
Yep.
new people coming into the CNFT space every day, which is great. NFTs are really starting to get out there in more and more of mainstream because people's circle of influences are starting to grow and they're starting to introduce people, whether it's family, friends, business partners, whatever it may be. It's really catching on, but there's a lot of education that needs to go into this space, I believe. And when you offer somebody tools like that, when they learn about the tools and what they provide and the opportunities, it helps them become better investors. It's funny because I really identify with that because, here on my channel, I don't necessarily consider myself an influencer as much as I would an educator. Education is key, and teaching people how to become better investors to me is very, very important because when people come into the space, number one, you want them to have a good taste in their mouth. You don't want them to have a bad experience and leave. And unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. And so, if they come in here and they're educated and they put their time in and they get themselves involved in the right projects, such as maybe what you're offering, it gives them all the tools that they need necessarily to become better investors. So I really like that side of it and that aspect of it. And when we were talking earlier, a few days ago, I was pretty fascinated by that part. And again, to have you out here and say more in detail about what you're providing. And I think it's really awesome. But back to my point here, a lot of times somebody will come in, they'll buy a bunch of NFTs and all of a sudden they, for whatever reason, have to liquidate. And so they'll come in and you'll see sometimes there's one NFT that's sitting well below the next one up, like maybe it's 100 ADA less or something. It's because somebody's got to move that, right? Liquidity is key in all investments. That's the golden rule right there is your investment somewhat liquid to a certain point, and so that can, sometimes if someone doesn't understand how things work, that can skew maybe their vision of that particular project or what it may be. And so your point to understanding that whole aspect and building these things into your project is, I think, going to be really good in my personal opinion. Now, I know you said that you're still developing a lot of these things, but they're also, they're developing as well. You said that these things are kind of learning how to do that. May I ask that question? How does a program learn how to do that stuff? Is it just by reading information and conglomerating that and storing it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it comes down to, first of all, kind of budget, basically, about how much storage space that you can hold around, how much the model does and how many points you add into it. But basically, it has to take time to understand the market because there's so many. It's just calculating all the time. So it can start up quite high to begin with and then go low. And then over time, I'm just trying to sort of simplify it a bit. It just comes to that spot in the middle, but it takes refining, it takes pivoting. And we're actually talking with someone who's done this as a day job in more the Web 2 space for customers around like his models and what he does. So it takes a bit of talk. So it does take learning from other people as well, because there's no right formula for it. And it could be like 5 different formulas where you add filters, and it's up to the buyer to really make the best informed decision based on certain filters that are most important to them. I think that's the thing to remember, because you can always throw out a number, but if you haven't put the time and research into it, it can be skewed. So Wolfie and I, we both kind of challenge each other on it. We get outside expertise on it. And that's probably what's contributing to it getting smarter over time. The technical side of it around how you go in and you develop this in the code, I'm definitely not qualified to answer for that one. That would be Wolfie. But it is something that we've shown the community already. We've shown that that we're doing it. It's there. We've got 3 different tiers. We've put it in a video, a product over roadmap video of how it will look, how it feels. But we have just taken it down from NF track where it was sitting before, just because we don't want to mislead. But we do want to release that at the point where the model's working, the information is really valuable, and that we become quite credible, well known for being able to present those best deals to holders as well.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the quality of what you're providing will speak for itself, and you talk about reputation reflecting upon your work and what you're developing, and I think that's the right approach. And you've mentioned your community several times here. I'm a big believer in communities. I've already been on the other side of that, developing a community, seeing what that's like, knowing that that's the heartbeat of your project and everything. And tell me a little bit about your journey, if you don't mind sharing that with us, because Jetplane, like you said, you minted a little bit in some really, really dark times in the space when things were really, really, really bare. It's funny because bear market is relative. A lot of people think we're in a bear market right now. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that CNFTs are doing really well. You see a lot of projects very much thriving in this condition. Whether the price of ADA is going up or down, that's a whole nother subject. But I love your approach. You guys didn't just jump into the space, see an opportunity, try to mint as fast as you could for as much as you could, and almost kind of present it as like a money grab situation. We all have our understanding of what rug pulls are, and people coming in with not necessarily the right motives to be in this space. But you guys are very opposite of that. You came in here, you saw the opportunity to put things on hold and do things right. Share me your journey with that, please, because I love to hear those kinds of things. People in the space like to kind of hear those things because not everybody has that approach. And it takes a lot of patience to be able to do these kinds of things. So please, the floor is all yours. I would love to share your journey because it resonated with me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So my co-founder Wolfie, we've met here in our office space in New Zealand. So we started working together. We just worked in the same space together, obviously doing our own different work, our own different businesses. And we started talking. He actually got me into NFTs originally, more specifically Cardano. He just
Circle
loves
of
it,
influence.
Yeah, and I just jumped in and I became obsessed. And he got an opportunity to work with Artifact, the Moon project. He was the lead developer for them, and at the time they were going off. Yeah, he's the lead dev for them,
Wow.
because the founder of that project is New Zealander as well. So it went off, and then JPEG came and kind of took over the market. But so he was heavily involved in that, and we were just talking. He moved down to Wellington. I stayed where I am, based in Hawke's Bay, and we just stayed in touch. And we're like, we should launch something. It's, we can add value. We saw opportunities in Cardano then, same opportunities that we see now. And we're quite well. We've been around the blocks for a while. We've built businesses. We've been part of business accelerators. We've, quite well established in our careers. So we just thought that we could add value. And interesting that you say around the education piece. I can probably come back to that shortly as well. But then, we kind of created a big, long roadmap, and it was around creating that community, almost like that incubator kind of style where people could come through. We could add our experience into that and sort of guide projects along the way as they were ready to launch. I mean, Wolfie's been part of the Y Combinator developer series. I've just been part of, 2 different accelerator incubators here in Australia and New Zealand. But when we launched, we kind of did it hard and fast. We onboarded our designer, Louis, who's based here in New Zealand as well. We got all our design traits, and it was our first time my first time sort of launching a collection in that sense. And we probably didn't read the market as well as it was for the time that we minted compared to the time when we started the roadmap. So when we minted, it just seemed that no projects were getting traction, like none. Mm-hmm. Like they were falling over all over the show, and we were appearing on, but we got good shout outs from even the Ape Society at the time, Ratstow at the time were doing really well, got shout outs from them, Salty Seagulls, who still helped us in this journey as well. But come mint day, it just kind of all went quiet, for that few days leading in. And we thought, there's no going back. Let's just really dive into it and we'll reassess at the end. And it didn't go particularly well, but at the end, we also had enough left to just go, last thing we wanted to do was give up. And we just went back to the drawing board. We talked to our community saying, look, we've got this ideas for products that we want to build, got really good feedback from them. And when the time was right, we kind of just said, all right, we know what didn't work in the last mint more than what we know now. Let's put that into let's stop the collection and let's mint again. And I think we've done a lot better this time, in a much better position, and more reading the market conditions well as well. I think the hardest thing this time, I must say, it's been a grind because we've been battling the floor price in a sense. I think when some stuff didn't happen for about 2 months, people get panicky and think, oh, geez, I might try and cash out for like 38 or whatever it is. But, you know, that's the battle that we've been up with. We've got our floor price to around 450, which has put us in a really good stead. We've got our community believes in us again now that we've showed them what we can do. We like to work fast, and that's what we mean, that we don't actually need a big supply because we know how fast we can work in terms of getting products out there. So we're not asking too much of the Cardano community if they choose to, become a holder. But yeah, it's just been a wild ride. The Christmas break, we thought, oh, geez, we're going to kind of get momentum, and then Christmas will set in and it'll dip and then we'll go up again. But I feel we're in a really good position. There's people chatting in the community, people asking the questions about the project. I've started a video series called the 10-Minute Rapid Fire where I'm interviewing other projects, not just to learn for myself, but to put it out there for other people to learn how to be successful in this space. And that's been received really well. So it's just all that. It's about community. It's about relationships. It's really about, and to say it, like, collaborations with new projects, like, is a must. New projects have to work together to help each other rise.
Yeah.
And being endorsed by bigger projects, just that validation that they can see promise in what you're doing is absolutely key as well. So I think those are the two things that have been really key to our success. And obviously putting ourselves out there. We've always put ourselves out there, always been doxed, just being transparent about who we are and what we do. And that just builds trust as well. So yeah, I won't lie, I'm kind of looking forward to getting to the other side of Mint now. It's getting quite exciting, but we've had a few hiccups along the way. Wolfie and I are doing a lot of the grunt work. Louis still there doing the design. Our community, we've got great mods on now. I think that's what's been really awesome. We've got some great mods on board who are really keen to be part of the project and just doing whatever it takes. But yeah, it's going well. I think the community manager side of things, like, I've had to become a Discord expert, which I never really kind of, which I never really wanted to do. But man, I've had to figure out so much about Discord, how it works.
Dude,
and
me too, man. Discord's my life. It's just ridiculous, but I identify with that.
I get asked by my wife, like, what is this that you're on again? Discord? I'm like, oh, it's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world. I got another guy just saying I won a prize and wants my money or something like that. And it's just insane. But
oh, dude.
Yeah. So it's those kind of things. But yeah, I think just being around since May, different levels has really helped. It's helped us be more experienced in the space, read the conditions better, and build that credibility. So I'm excited, but yeah, I've got bags under my eyes, which shows that if I can just have one day off after this, that'll be great. But it's going to be a 5 a.m. mint, which, being in New Zealand, it doesn't help. But hey, the things you do.
Yeah, man, I've got a lot to add. I hope I can remember all of my thoughts as I'm listening to you talk. Being in New Zealand, you're very isolated, so you definitely have to cater your mint time to anything but your time zone, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. And then we do an announcement.
24-hour.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the time of day that I do an announcement, it's like you do an announcement and then you go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they'll be online in about 4 or 5 hours.
Exactly. This is a 24-hour thing, 7 days a week. It's funny because, like, I talk a lot about my two shifts. I got my two shifts. My wife goes to work in the morning. She works in a breakfast restaurant. I get up, I start my day. I work for, 8 or 9 hours till she comes home. Then I've got about 4 or 5 hours with her. And then I'm back on for what I call my night shift. I jump back on about 9, 10 p.m. and I'm up till whenever, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I got to talk to people that are all over the place. So I identify with you so much in that regard, because like I said, I've been already in the driver's seat of developing the project. The workload is insane. And so, you know, what I'm gathering from this conversation that we're having is, number one, I'd like to shout you out because I give you my respect. Number one, you're very transparent. I love that you're sharing your journey. I love that you're willing to say, hey, you know what? This didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out. So we put it on hold. We reconvened. We learned, and we came back stronger and better. That's what I'm getting from this conversation. And that's what I'm hoping other people are hearing as well. Transparency is key. You know, relatability is key. Like I said, I had so many thoughts in my head as I was listening to you talk. But I'm just really glad that you're here to share that with us, because, you know, it takes transparency and honesty and a little bit of humility. It's great to hear people speak with humility, being like, hey, I've got so much to learn in this space. I've got so much to give and so many ideas to put out. I'm willing to work my butt off to get there. And I'm willing to kind of take a step back and let things fall the way they need to fall, instead of trying to force a square peg in a round hole. You know, so thank you for sharing that with us, because it's a good thing for people to understand these journeys that we go on as people who are bringing projects to the space. And it sounds to me a lot like you care about the space. It sounds to me like, you know, you picked Cardano for a reason, which I think is awesome. I think obviously, you know, UltimateCNFT, Cardano is special. There's a lot of platforms out there that you can go and you can delve in. And I'm looking into some other things to help my circle of influence grow as a YouTuber, to bring more people into Cardano ultimately. But, you know, you sharing all these things with us, just thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. I would like to ask you a couple more questions here. Number one, let's talk about Cardano, since I, you know, kind of basically have brought it up. Why did you choose Cardano? Did you explore other things as well, or was it just always Cardano?
It's always Cardano, actually. And that was influenced by Wolfie. You know, he's been in crypto for so long, like before, you know, right back in the day. But he became fascinated with Cardano and, you know, just how it's set up, and he just became obsessed. And, you know, he was across ETH, Sol, Cardano, and a few of the others, especially when NFTs were coming out, and then just went all in Cardano. I think doing the blockchain developer course for him was key. I think in terms of, you know, just how it operates, you know, and we're seeing like Solana in a way fall over. Cardano just does not seem like it has that level of risk associated with it. And yeah, and it's nothing against the other blockchains necessarily, but it's so big now. Like there's so many different layers, and and for myself personally, I don't think I'd be able to learn as much as if I was across more than just Cardano. I think for me, coming in the Cardano space, you know, I've dabbled over, but just kind of been drawn in and then been focused. And it's what seems large is very small. Like the Cardano CNFT space is so small in the large scheme of things, but it's big enough to make an impact. And, you know, I like the work that they're doing in Africa and Asia and all these places, like actually got projects to improve, you know, underdeveloped countries and all that. It's got a good ethos. And I think that's what drew me in. I've spent a lot of time in the nonprofit sector and all these kind of things. And I actually believe in Cardano as a blockchain that is trying to solve these problems. So for me, that's probably all it's going to be. I don't think I'd rather just become an expert in this space. I'm a lifelong learner. I never put the label expert to myself because there's just always something new to learn. So I'd rather continue learning in this space rather than just dabble in other spaces.
I think that's fantastic. And again, it speaks to your humility, the way you approach these things. And I'm the same way. I'm a Cardano maxi. I have a background in crypto since 2017. But once I started really getting into Cardano, it was like, I never imagined myself being here where I'm at right now, being a Cardano, you know, a CNFT YouTuber and all these things, and talking to all these wonderful people like yourself who are developing so many things and pushing the envelope and taking technology and really working within the parameters that we have, but also pushing the parameters. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like you said, there's other things that are going on in other places, but right here, oh yeah, the cream is rising to the top in Cardano. We all believe that. And it's good to see people come in here with great ideas and great projects and innovate right here in our home space. So, again, thank you for being here and doing those things and sharing these things. And like you said, it's always been Cardano. I think that's fantastic. Another thing I wanted to bring up real quick, because to me, this is very interesting from my perspective as a YouTuber and somebody who looks at projects and deep dives on information. I've got my own Discord. I've got my own things going on, and there's a lot. It's a very tight-knit group of people. And so, one person in my Tier 3 paid subscription membership club members, he pointed out to me that you guys actually have a not a buyback program, but a refund program. And I just wanted to ask you about, because I've never really heard anybody do that. I think it's actually really cool because it gives people the option to say, hey, for whatever reason, if something doesn't work out, like you're at a zero risk. Fascinating. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
Yeah, we were going to label it a risk-free mint, but then we thought, well, we don't actually refund the transaction fee, which is like literally 1 ADA or something like that. But let's not label it. Let's
call it risk-free. That's one of the beauty things about Cardano is it's not Ethereum. If you did this on Ethereum, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Then you'd feel ripped off. No, yeah. Look, it's about being innovative again, right? Like it's kind of going, well, hey, we're building, like we're almost finished building in many sense. Like what we're asking for is a runway that gives us enough time to do that. But then again, we're just like, well, we're going to be doing it anyway. We're in so deep. We love the space. We're going to be building. It's like we don't rely on it. And it's nothing to sound like arrogant or anything like that. But we wanted to put it out there as a way to show people going, oh, okay, so they're not just kind of going for a money grab. If the first thing you see is a refundable mint, fully docs, and you watch our utility video, I think those three things combined should build confidence that we're serious about what we do. It just removes a level of risk. If we don't mint out for whatever reason come Wednesday, we're still grinding. We've got that 30-day policy, but we're not going to necessarily feel that we're up against the clock, but it's in our best interest to try and spend the next 30 days minting. We realize that after 30 days, if you're not minted out, people start to lose interest. They start to list you on JPEG, and then you're in a battle with the floor price again and all that kind of stuff. Whereas we know we've got holders who actually want to use our products, our services, and they've told us that they're going to stick around regardless. Those are the people we want. But for people who are looking for like a flip or anything like that, which is necessary in our space, I must say, like it is necessary for funding a project, but we just want to remove that risk, and we do want to do something a bit different. And I don't know if it's, I often look at things like, what would I like what would catch my eye as an investor? And if I go, well, if I get in early, if I get 4 mints, that's a lot of ADA. But if they're saying they'll pay me back if it doesn't go right, well, hey, I'm ready to take that risk. So I think it just removes that layer of risk. We found in our last mint, our Discord is active, but we just felt there were a lot of people on the fence going, I'll see what happens. And we're kind of going, well, if we had something like this. Too many people say
that, then it doesn't really, it doesn't work.
No. So I don't know. We're not starting a trend necessarily, though it would be cool to see if it got adopted by a few projects or something like that. For myself, as looking to buy NFTs for other projects. But I think it's just something a bit unique, and it's been received really well. I was a bit worried at first that people would go, oh, are you just going to shut down the project if it doesn't sell out? And that's not the case. Like the community, it's so big now that we just kind of, if things don't go well, like there's so much that we can do with the community, learn from them, offer them, and still feed our products to, because there's people who care. But it's just removing risk. That's all it is.
I love that. That's one thing that I think new people come in and they see and they hear these horror stories about, this project rugged, or these guys did that, or they ran up with all this money. They're like, NFTs are a scam. And then they have no idea what really happens, that most people are actually here to build and here to work hard. And most people are actually very proud of what they're working hard on to develop and bring to the space. there's a few bad actors. There's bad actors everywhere you look, in every corner of the world, in every finance or whatever it may be. But you know, when I first heard that, I was like, wow, that's a first. This is really cool. I can't wait to talk to the founder about that. You know, so thank you for sharing that with us. And again, it does, you know, essentially remove risk. I mean, like you said, your docs, you know, you're here to deliver something. You're not dependent upon these things. I think it's fantastic. And that's why I wanted to get you in here and being able to share your whole story. I think it is unique. I think what you're building is incredible. It's very encompassing. Again, the humility that you work with and the ability to have, you know, people like your partner that you keep mentioning that is really good at the technical side. I think you have a lot of things going for you. I'm personally very interested in everything that you're building. I will be minting your project. I was already sold on it long before we even got on camera. The first time I talked with you, I said, this guy, you know, I like what he's doing. I like what he's building. I love the confidence with which you're delivering everything. I know that you've also, so can I ask you real quick about whitelists? Can people still whitelist to your project, or are they all gone?
No, very close. So I think because we started our collabs before Christmas, and we knew that some people would come, some people would go, some people wouldn't be interested kind of to the last moment. But we've ranted on about it the last week or two that you've got until the 22nd of January to submit your wallet. So that would say, oh, we've got a few left over. We are looking at like getting to capacity. Obviously, if we have a set reserve for projects like yourself. So for your community, would love to offer some whitelist spots. But it is getting quite close, I must say. But we're still just under. I think we're at the point where we can't offer fresh new whitelists if we haven't sort of considered it, you know, a few days prior.
Well, and hey, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you know, so supply and demand are the ultimate, you know, indicators for value determination. So I think that's great. I appreciate that you offering some of the whitelists to my community. We're going to get this, you know, up here today. And I'm curious to see what my community thinks, because me and my approach being a YouTuber and being a project developer, I hear a lot of things and a lot of talk, and I love to just share information with people. So thank you for that. I do appreciate that. And, you know, I look at here, I'm looking at our time. We're over 40 minutes, which to me is incredible. It feels like a 15-minute conversation. But, you know, I wanted to ask you, so is there anything else that we didn't talk about? Anything we didn't cover? Anything that, you know, any parting words on this? And, you know, this would be the time to do it.
Yeah, look, I mean, my final words is just come join us, essentially. Even if you just want to be a spectator, you're not sure, or even if you're not a collector, but you're interested in this space and you're very early and you're not sure, you're just learning the way. I think just come observe. I think look at what we're building, look at our utility, look at our roadmap video that we've put out there. Although I've gone over most of it in this, we've actually pieced together a pitch deck as if we're pitching a business to our community to
Awesome.
come along for the ride. And like, if you're into the more gaming side of things, like earning internal staking rewards, come chat to us. We've got our squadrons channel, we've got our ranks channel that explains how it's going to operate. But yeah, there's a lot happening. As you say, I kind of just once I get talking about it, I get carried away and I can go into the gamified side of things. I can go into the utility side of things. But I just think if anyone's interested in launching a project, come talk to us, come chat with the community, because we want to create the home for that. But we also want to be working with other projects who are leaders in the space, who are innovating in this space, and who can contribute. Again, we realize that we'll build the platform, but you talk about education. Who are the best educators in the space that we can partner with? Who are the best post-launch consultants potentially to consult with? Because once you've minted out an NFT collection, that's only the start of your ride, you know. Who are the best people to connect with afterwards, and a strategy to actually make us a success? So if it sounds interesting, if it sounds like something that you want to be part of, I don't know how to bloom and quote a Discord URL, but it's /Jetplane after the Discord URL. So come in, say hi, and yeah, just even if you're on the fence, just come join us. This is the direction we'll be taking at post-mint.
Look, at the bare minimum, it's worth jumping in and looking and being a part of that community. Personally, like I said, I'm on board with everything you're doing, everything you're building. All the links, you guys, by the way, will be in the description box below. So there's a shortcut to the Discord, the Twitter, and everything else that's going on. So, thank you for being here, Jake. We appreciate it. Best of luck with you guys in the mint. I think that your mint price, and I think that your supply really speaks for what you're doing. Again, the humility and that you speak with, and your ability to learn and to adjust, and all the things you bring into market is very exciting for me personally. So listen, hey, you guys, it's time to go. I appreciate you guys joining us and being here with us. If you made it this far into this interview, you are my true supporters. I appreciate you guys. Give us a like, give us some thumbs up, give us a subscription here, and leave some comments below. Tell me, if you're a member of this community already, are you planning on becoming a member of this community? Tell me what you think about Jetplane and everything that's being involved, especially those of you who have been around for a while and stuck with this project. Shout out to all of you guys for having the vision and understanding to do those kinds of things. So until the next one, you guys, peace out and God bless.